got one more item. Now, do we want a 5-minute break or should we carry on?
It could be very quick, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll go straight to the item. Warren McLennan, if you could come up, please.
Spedding road one.
Yeah, this is.
Sorry. Just wanted to introduce it, put up your amendment.
Yeah.
And we don't say too much more. So
Okay. Members, I'll put up the motions, and there is an amendment which is consistent with an earlier plan change when there was an obvious shortfall in infrastructure funding. So I'll put that up. I will move. Can I have a second once you've read it? So that C is consistent. From the report, you will have read that there's a shortfall on funding. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's seconded. So we'll put that up. I'll now go to Warren McLennan. And Warren, can you introduce this private plan change request from Oyster Capital?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll do a very brief series of comments and I won't do the presentation. I'll simply say that this is a private plan change request under Section 25 of the Resource Management Act, and you have a choice to accept it for processing, adopt it as a council plan, process it as a resource consent, or reject the private plan change request. It's simply about whether or not we should publicly notify the plan change request for submissions. It's not a consideration of the detailed merits or otherwise of the plan. My recommendation is to accept this plan for processing, and I can see the chair has put up some additional ones, recommendations. I'm happy to leave the discussion, leave the comments at that, and happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Walker, question.
Sure, I just have a question. My understanding is we're simply approving whether or not this plan change goes ahead for consideration. In that light, I just have a question as to whether C is appropriate, because it's looking to actually approve the plan change subject to various matters. And I question whether that's appropriate.
I'll go to the Chief of Strategy. I think this is consistent with an earlier...
Yeah, through the Chair, this is about a submission, Councillor Walker, so not the actual determination of the private plan change. So decision you're being asked to is to put it through the first gateway, which is to publicly notify it. And C is suggesting that when it is, that Council make a submission. And as the Chair has said, because there is concern from the Chair that put it up that there are some funding issues with this. So it's consistent with what we've done in the past, and it's not determining the whole plan change.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. C2 says that the private plan change be approved with modifications. So we're actually second guessing the decision of whoever the independent commissioners are that hear this. Is that appropriate?
So through the Chair, that's just so when you do a submission, you need to provide the hearing commissioners with a view about your position. So what that is saying is that the Council would recommend it be declined if there were still issues. If there weren't any issues, then likely that we would say that's fine, it should be approved with some conditions or modifications. So all it's doing is suggesting the position that we might take. We haven't got to that position yet.
Are there further questions? Are there comments? Councillor Peake.
So the question was, is it, I mean, I really support more jobs in the northwest because we've got houses coming out the yin yang, but with no jobs. So this is good. But does a C make this harder? Is it likely that that Oyster Capital would say, yes, we'll pay for the infrastructure? Or do we not know that? Is that something we'll be investigating?
So at this stage, with the we don't know the funding gap at the moment. And so we're working with Supporting Growth Alliance and the DPO to see if we can come up with a funding agreement. Now, the developer is willing to sit down and talk about it, but he doesn't know, and we don't know, just what that funding gap would be.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. No further questions. Oh, Councillor Filipaina.
Are there any legal repercussions in regards to the notification?
Sorry, through the chair, legal repercussions in what respect? If the council...
Notifying or not, or approving? That's all.
The decision you make today, if you go with the recommendation, the plan change will be notified and go through the process. If you were to take a different approach to the decision today, say if you were to reject the plan change, then that could be appealed to the Environment Court. So that would be the repercussion there.
Thank you. I'll just do one final check. There's no further questions, no comment further. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. Declare that carried. Now, I'll just check any other business. We've completed our business. Thanks, members. It's been a long day. I think it's been a really positive day.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Thank you, Councillor Fletcher. Councillor Simpson online as well. And I think I might have missed some names there. And thank you to...
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good night. Close the meeting.